This is All the Things with Michelle Wolf.
All right, welcome to All the Things with Michelle Wolf. This is the Mixtape Memories series, and we're getting into I'll call them the behind the music author interviews. So today I'm introducing Louis Cinquino, and his chapter is called "Do You Want to Make Love?" and the song is by Peter McCann. Before we get into it, I just want to give like a little snippet of the song so we can
Okay.
introduce it because I know a lot of people might not be familiar.
It's an oldie but goodie.
So I'm just gonna grab like a spot here. I won't play the whole song. We'll see.
Answer the question I must ask of you. Do you want to make love? Or do you just want to fool around?
It's an oldie but a goodie. I like it. Oh, I just so do you want to talk a little bit about what your inspiration was behind that song?
Yeah. I was over it was a woman I was dating, and we had gone out and gotten some old records at a it was the Princeton Record Exchange. I remember it very specifically. And there was like those K-Tel albums that had, I don't know if you remember that, but like there were albums that were sold on TV primarily, and it was just a list of one hit after the other, all the greatest hits of an era. And I bought a couple from the mid 70s. And when we took it home to play it, I was listening to some of the songs and just like listening to the words again and like, wait a second, what is this guy saying in this song? And there's a couple of them like that. And like, wow, like I don't really think that's great advice for a kid. And then I kind of unpacked it. I went back like, what year did that come out? And like this one that Do You Want to Make Love that takes the name of this chapter. I went back and it came out in 1977, and I'm like, oh yeah,
Mhm.
1977. That makes a lot of sense. I was 15, and I started to like put myself right back into hearing that song, and then like looking for other songs that came out in that. Was that like I guess it was my sophomore year of high school, which was like my first dating experiences, and that
You
led.
do walk through I love how you walk through like sort of the like you took me on a journey of like through the adolescence, but like through your eyes.
Yeah,
And it was really cool to like walk through, but how music is so impressionable too.
totally. And that was of an era. So I put it put me back into those shoes, right? And it was of an era where there wasn't internet, of course, and there wasn't a lot of people in my life giving me sound advice about dating and relationships. And so in my case, it was the cassette recorder and radio were like my therapist, my gurus of dating. And so I would, sit in my room and tape these songs and then rewind them and play them and like just kind of take on the personas of the men in these who are singing these songs. And I think the first one I talk about in the piece is from Badfinger.
Mhm.
And that was actually years before that. That was like the first song that I think that made an impression on me about relationships.
Yeah, you say I started off on the wrong foot with Badfinger.
Yeah. And their the big hit, it was called Lonely Room. Like, so the first big song of like my first big love song was like, as I hear it now, it's just about a guy sitting in his room, dreaming about like wishing he was with someone. And, day after day in my lonely room, um, you know, someday it will happen for me.
Yeah.
And so it put me in that idea, I think, of just like really internalizing that relationship was really just like an internal thing,
Mhm.
right? Like if you could just contemplate it and hold it in your heart and just like want it to happen, then that was like all you really needed to do, and it would like fulfill your.
Yeah, there was a lot of longing. And I can remember that feeling like as a kid, but adolescence, like thinking about love and listening to music in my room and all that, like that longing, that sense of longing for that and trying to like dream it up or, like you talk a lot about, the song, like by the time Kenny Nolan's I Like Dreamin', and then I Like Dreamin' because dreaming can make you mine, and like that fantasy that we create.
Right. That was the next one that I wrote about. Like, so it was just about like, wow, he paints this picture of this couple, him and they're walking on the beach,
Mhm.
they're like hand in hand, they're welcoming their children are with them. And then he goes like, "Oh, and I wake up and you're not there." Like, of course you're not there. You're just dreaming about this. And so, but it like the irony of that really was lost on me. So I think I found myself internalizing this notion that like if I could develop this romantic mystique internally, that the girls would like completely fall for that. They would want that. Like that was my key to like develop this like hypersensitive hype guy who would be like wanting to have babies and like, like dreaming of all these incredible times together. And yet, like nothing about what it really means to have a relationship on a meaningful basis. So it was like completely useless, other than just like stoking my like misguided dreams of what was possible. So
Oh
it's like,
yeah, it does help. Like we use our environment and the things that come into it to try and make sense of and learn from. I mean, I grew up in a time where like, TLC and R&B, and I listen to some of the songs now, and I would not want my kids listening to those songs and how sexual they were, like really.
right,
And
right,
you think about that and like how just again like how impressionable we are and how it introduces us. I mean, even now I still as a parent like find myself going, "Oh my God, I'm gonna change this."
right, right. Well, that's another problem if you delegate as a parent, delegate your job to uh, songs to help parent your kids. Like you got to be careful who you're bringing in as your surrogates in that way. I don't think, I think in those days, my parents they had no clue of what I was going through. Like we just, for whatever reason, we didn't have that kind of relationship where they were leading their life and wanted me to be a good Catholic boy, and I was a good Catholic boy. But I had like this fantasy world that was going on that was, you know, really being stoked by these kind of songs. And I didn't realize how much they shaped me until I went back and kind of pieced them together of like where I was at that time that song came out. And that's when it hit me like, well, I can see some patterns in here that I've formed that like have that persisted with me much beyond the 15-year-old, right? And I'm not going to say I abdicate all responsibility and blame these lyricists for that, but I could see that it was like part of the pattern, right? So,
Yeah, it does influence us. And I also think that like what you're drawn to matters, like what hits you. Like, I mean,
right,
growing up, I mean, it reminds me of like, 5 years old. I loved Madonna, and gosh, she was so inappropriate for me. But, like, I loved her. There was something about her energy, her sovereignty, maybe, I don't,
yeah,
her rebelliousness. Like, I actually loved, I remember being very young and like, the adults around me talking about how inappropriate like one of her performances was, probably the Like a Virgin where she pumped the stage. Like
right,
I remember that being discussed, and feeling like good for her, you know, like we just, but it does
Yeah,
to like who we're drawn to and the impact of that.
totally. And I think that it's how, as parents in this case, how we put that in context for us. Like I had, uh, when I had my daughters, we played Madonna for them, and the um, the fact that it was, a girl, a woman, representing her own self, and was like she was in charge of whatever was going on, or she was the star. You say sovereignty. We didn't use that word at that point, but that's, I think, what we were talking about. Like, I think it can send multiple lessons, right? If it's some parents might look at that and fear for them being sexualized. I can understand that.
And there's legit concerns.
Totally,
Yeah.
totally. And other parents may look at that and say, like you said, like good for her. Like she's
Mhm.
like a
Oh,
star, and don't be afraid of,
but yeah.
there's been enough history of people being afraid of women with power, right?
Yeah.
Like that's something that, you know, when we chose to err on that side, like there's too few women whose power is acknowledged and revered. So let's take a chance that that's what we're talking about here,
Yeah.
because there's going to be plenty of examples where they're shamed, they're put down, they're dismissed.
I mean, like for sure, like just following the arc of her in my life. I mean, I've watched her go through all of her like evolutions and how she's been portrayed in the media and all of that. It's
Mm.
been she's one of the ones that I find very interesting to watch just because she did impact me at such a young age. And
Yeah.
you
Yeah, absolutely. And the songs were just great songs too, on top of it,
know,
like fun. And so I think it's really about the context. Like a song isn't going to make or break somebody in isolation, but it definitely etches something into your memory, and when it hits you at a certain time. And I think that's what I wanted to get to in my piece of putting these together. In my time, I talk a little, about my
yeah.
first girlfriend, and how, this was the song that was happening when I first tried to start dating her. And I think I was just so, you can imagine me now, if my greatest mentors are about like staying in your room and like thinking about things and just like laying it all out, and then like trying to find someone to plug into that story. You can imagine like that I'm not going to be very engaging as a 15-year-old boy trying to just understand this girl, and like what is she like,
Yeah.
what is she thinking about, like who are we as a couple, all those things that took me a long time to figure out or work on. At that point it was just like I've got it all laid out, and like you must be able to tell, because you know according to Kenny Nolan, you know we're going to be on the beach soon. And
I
so
love the part where you say, luckily in feels like the first time, such a great
yeah,
song. Um, they
right,
gave me a clear set of instructions: climb any mountain, sail across the stormy sea, wait a lifetime, spend your time so foolishly, find her, make history. Like it does. Songs in general, I find like sometimes they seem to have this theme, right? Like there's
right.
this whole story arc that plays out. And it's not even just, I mean, that's then I think reiterated in movies and things that we watch, rom-coms, where it's like there's always the theme where, and love conquers all.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah, and it's painted out like I think that was a great one. Another one like that, when I listened to and laid it all out, was like, I think maybe somewhere on this list, like, so like I was like, this is their 9 steps, right, to like being with your person. 1, climb any mountain. 2, sail across the stormy sea. 3, show how much she means to you. 4, bring out the man in you. 5, don't worry about what that actually means, because the woman in her brings that out in you.
Mhm.
6, wait a lifetime. 7, spend your time so foolishly. 8, find her. 9, make history. Like nowhere in there is it about having a conversation with someone or sharing your vulnerabilities or like just like
It is
trying to
all,
seek understanding.
it is very self-focused too. Like
Completely.
you talk about that in the next paragraph. When you talk about foreigner, at least they get me out of my room. But it's like my treasure, my personal savior, and it's all very self-focused, egocentric. Yeah.
Right. And so, I think that feeds, it also feeds kind of the insecurities. Like if if I'm really insecure about talking with someone and like letting myself be vulnerable with them, it's a much better story to just like, we'll go inside and figure it out, and then everything will just come out, and they will be attracted to that because you're a little bit afraid of what is she going to say, or what should I say, or what do I really want to know about her, and what if she doesn't like me, like all those kinds of things. So I mean, dating is a bunch of insecurities, wrapped around a cup of coffee now. And
Yeah.
like this and that's
But I love, where'd you said at 50, my teenage dreams of walking on the beach were replaced with nightmares of what tsunamis lay ahead for me. Um, I did get better at talking, a byproduct of going out on 100 first dates. And I love that because so much of relationship, it is getting good at talking, like, and
right.
saying the things. And you don't realize how hard that is for some people.
Totally. Yeah. And I had to figure that out too. But those 100 first dates were when I was 50 years old. Okay. These songs were when I was 15 and had like no idea what to do.
Oh, yeah.
So I was stumbling throughout it. So those 100 first dates came, after the divorce. And so most of those dates were dead end. Like those were dead end dates. They were fine. They were like interesting to meet people. You learn their story, and that allowed me to like relax a little bit, realize like it's not all about me. I don't have to like have things all figured out when I meet someone, or like put on a specific kind of scenario for them to just plug into. That if we have like an honesty for a few moments, we're going to find out if this is a good fit for.
Yeah, you learn, like, can you mesh with somebody, and yeah.
Yeah. So but it does take that to do it well. You need that vulnerability to like have that, try to find your authentic self, first of all. That it's a struggle in itself, to understand what our authentic us is at any moment. And then to be able to share that in a way that's coherent and just be okay with if this person who you really like if they're not, if that's not right for them, then it's like that's not right for you as a couple. And that's a hard hit, you know, that here's someone who just, they seem fantastic. They're beautiful. They're everything that I've seemed like I want. But if you're not being yourself, of course, then whatever fit you have with them it's not going to work.
And I find, I mean, like something that I see, I work one-on-one with people, and a lot of similar themes will come up around. And I've just seen this play out so many times where somebody gets like really close to having the thing that they want. Like it's almost like presented, right? But
Right.
it's one thing to like, you want to have this thing or you think you want to have this thing. But when the reality of that, when you're presented with that, like some people can't show up for that.
Right.
Maybe at least not yet or whatever.
Right. Or they can't hold on to like that. It's kind of too big for
Like
them
sustain
in
it.
any particular moment.
Yeah.
Like they want it, but the implications of the holding up those emotions for any period of time is, I've struggled with that at times. Like it's too much. And like kind of being able to take that breath and like realize you can be uncomfortable for a while and
Mhm.
you'll survive that. It's better to be uncomfortable and stay present with it than to just abandon it.
Yes.
Because if you just keep abandoning that, then you really don't have a chance to
And
really
music
connect.
can go either way sometimes, where like it can really help process things like that, or you can like use it to dissociate.
Exactly.
Like what you were saying, like you can kind of use music to like build a fantasy and reinforce it. Um, so yeah,
Yeah.
all in how we use it.
It's all in how we use it, and that it's certainly, music can open up parts of you that you want to share, right? These songs are really about closing yourself off from the people that you really want to be with most in the world and like building your own fantasy world. And I just think it was not really helpful for me. And so it was good. It was a little cathartic to like go back to those. And it was completely it was interesting because I had done these, I'd written a few of these as just little small pieces that I was just going to put up on my blog. Um, and then we connected and you said about, you mentioned that you were looking for authors for this book. I'm like, I've already been working on these.
No, it was
Like I
really
had,
perfect.
yeah,
You were one of the first people that you like turned yours around really quickly. Because I think
yeah,
you
because yeah,
already had them written or
I
something.
had like three separate pieces that were written just not tightly, but it was just like a blog post, like impressions that I had about what I had just told you about, like hearing these songs again as a grown up. And so it's like, this is perfect for me. So I worked on getting them into a single piece and like trying to put some more context to them. So
Oh,
yeah,
it's like one of the chapters that it always makes me smile when I read it. And with so many heavy topics, like
right.
in the book, I think it's a nice, like when I come to that chapter, I'm like, oh, it's a breath of fresh air, like a little
Yeah.
reset.
Yeah, well, good. I'm glad. I hope that's how people find that. I know
Me
like, I
too.
haven't read all the pieces yet, but I know I've read a couple and I've read a couple of yours that you shared with the group. And yeah, they were like super powerful and like different ways that um I guess in the ones I remember from yours in particular wasn't so much about like taking apart a song exactly, but it was like what you were experiencing at that time and like just life gets heavy, right? And
Yeah.
and there's a soundtrack to that.
Yeah.
And it can help it can carry a little bit of the weight for us if when we get the right kind of song. It could be a sad song, could be a happy song. Um and so it can play a role in that way. And as an adult, I'm sure we use the songs differently in a way, hopefully, that they're in a way that's more hopeful, or somehow I'm still a little I still don't quite understand how when we're sad we like to listen to even sadder songs. I was talking about that this weekend with my girlfriend, and it's just like, yeah, what do you listen to when you're sad? Like, shouldn't you listen to happy songs? Like, and then both of us are like, no, we kind of listen to sad songs. And we were going back and forth, like, what's the saddest song of all time? And
Oh, I love, oh,
going through our list, like, oh no, I hate that song. Here's my relationship with that song, and we had a couple of the same songs that were just devastating to just think about, and yet those are the songs we turn to somehow, where there's comfort in knowing that other people are going through like hard things.
I think that's part of it for sure. And sometimes like they can put words to something that like we just can't quite explain. And I also think that because I have the same thing when I watch movies. Like if I'm going through something and I watch something that like evokes that emotion that like allows me to process it or reach it, like in myself. Like I think that's what I love so much about music is like you could turn on a happy song and I
Right.
have like a chapter, the song Happy.
Right.
Every time that like I don't, it just always makes me feel better.
Yeah. Yeah.
Sometimes like you know, just allowing yourself to be in that emotion and like stew in it, you know,
Right.
like you can access whatever the emotion is that you're trying to release.
Yeah. I think, yeah, sometimes something inside you like signals that you just have to take it a little deeper and hold it for a little longer
Yeah.
and let it kind of organically pass through you as opposed to just immediately trying to get out of it, you know, and I can do that too, but
And
I,
then the challenge of that is like when you're just, you know, this has happened to me so many times and at not the most opportune times always, you know, where I'll be driving.
right,
It's usually when I'm driving and like, but it'll be like, it's happened where I'm in a store and the music is on and a
right.
song will come on and I'm like, oh shit, I'm going to cry right now in the middle of the store. And
Right. Yeah, I get it.
and I have
Yeah.
to be all right with, I mean, I try to be all right with it anyway.
Yeah, yeah, I'm sure. But it's great that you're you know, helping us think about that through call for for these pieces to come through and you know how I'm looking forward to reading you know when it comes out in print on June 10th,
Yeah.
right?
So memories.
There it is. Wow, fantastic.
It'll be available. So the ebook is already available. You can order it on Kindle. And I do have it on other platforms that I'm releasing it like so that it'll be available worldwide. And
Terrific.
then the print book is available June 10th on Amazon, and then there'll be other platforms as well.
Yeah, sure. Yeah,
Yeah,
that's fantastic.
so
Yeah.
exciting. And it's been such a pleasure, like, you know, just the editing process and reading through everybody's stories and the journeys that you took me on. Like, I didn't, you know, you like make up this idea, like, I'm going to write this book and oh, it'd be fun if other people joined too. But then just the vulnerability that was shared
Yeah.
it was really cool to be able to tap into that.
Yeah, and I think it's that the topic, the music allows us to be that vulnerable because I think by and large, these songs have a certain, you know, they take a point of view and music just gets to places that other things don't, you know? I think it definitely unlocks things and memories in a way that it was useful to write about and share. It's great the fact that you're finding audience for these songs and these messages and stories is fantastic. So I'm
Yeah.
really
Of
grateful.
the playlist for this is so diverse. Like there's definitely something for everyone, I think. I mean, of course, like I already in my mind have like volume 2 and 3 planned out because then like other
Right.
songs that I didn't get to write about and stories that I didn't tell. And then I was like, oh, I could do a volume on like soundtrack music. Because
Mm,
sound like there are some amazing soundtracks out there.
yeah.
Like a whole soundtrack, but also just like songs that when you play that song, it makes you think of that soundtrack. Um,
Yeah.
so
Yeah.
yeah.
Right. Yeah. The certain soundtracks are often what I do a lot of my writing to because they're, you know, in you know, orchestral
Mhm.
soundtracks because a movie soundtrack in particular has such purpose to it. There's such a build of emotion. It's not for me, I don't always get classical music. Like I wasn't really trained in it. So sometimes that just seems to kind of go on. Like I know my classical music friends would tell me very clearly what's happening here in a way that I don't quite, you know, internalize. But movie soundtrack in particular is built with that very express intent of
Mhm.
setting across a specific emotion at a particular crescendo and timeline. And so there's often an energy in those that I really like to be able to write to those and immerse myself in that in the energy of the composer in those. So
Yeah. One of my favorite, the Last of the Mohican soundtrack.
mm,
So good. It's so good. And it brings me back to like trips that we would take when I was a kid to Ocean City, Maryland. My mom loved that soundtrack and listened to it over and over again.
oh
But
my God.
like, okay, we've got this many repeats of the whole song, like the whole CD before we get there, you know, like
Right, right.
it's funny how it becomes a part of your experience.
Yeah, that's cool. That's cool. Yeah, it's I look forward to the future volumes, but let's be sure we sell this one first,
Yeah.
right?
All right. So anybody that is looking to get a copy of this, you can find this on Amazon. I'll put all the links in everywhere that needs to be. And tell people where they can find you and your blog.
Yeah, I write somewhat irregularly, but what I do write, I put up at takingmulligans.com. There's a lot of work in, I write about food. I write about running. I had a big, a long kind of career writing about running and other kind of emotional and emotional health, positive psychology. So that's the place where most of my personal work is. I also have a feature article coming out in Edible Lehigh Valley this next. Uh, um, I think it's going to be on the newsstands very shortly. It's a summer edition about a chicken farm in Lancaster that is doing some incredible things with their chickens. So if you want a great story about chicken farming, look to Edible Lehigh Valley, and you'll see that in around Lancaster County, Lehigh, Northampton, if you're nearby in Pennsylvania. And
Oh, go ahead.
those are the best places to find my work right now.
And then will we see you on the virtual launch on the 10th?
I think so. Yes, there's an event here that I'm trying to get out of so I can be there.
You don't have to get out of it, but it would be nice to have you there.
I would love to be a part. I'd love to talk with the other authors and hear a little bit about them as well. And I know that's gonna be a great moment for you. So I'm a big fan of you and the work that you share with us through your socials. And it was the first time we've met, so I was excited to be a part of your project.
I appreciate you being on board with me and putting your trust in me as someone that, that I just put a random post out there one day and you
Right.
were like, hey, I have a song. I love this project, the collaborative nature of this and just everybody, how we've all worked together. It's been really wonderful. So I'm very grateful.
It's great. Well, thanks again, and thanks for having me on your pod. And good luck with all of the work in getting the word out. And I'll do my part as well. And I will see you down the road.
Sounds good. All right. Thanks, everybody.
Thanks for joining me for this episode of All the Things.